Lack of sleep and postpartum depression goes hand in hand, and for this reason, you really need to sleep train your little babies if you really want to have sanity and peace of mind. Welcome back to Prisca's Mission. In today's video, I will be telling you or sharing with you the different methods that I have used to sleep train my children, both my toddler and my baby, that has worked for me. I am going to say, please, this disclaimer, I am not a sleep training expert. I'm not a sleep training coach. This is basically my personal opinion, what I have used for my baby number 1, who's now a toddler, and for my baby number 2. So please do what suits you best, but I'm going to be sharing with you today what I have done that I have found to be very helpful when sleep training is concerned. Sleep training is an approach to improve a baby's sleep behavior by a parent, a caregiver, to allow the baby or the child to settle down to sleep independently. Simple. It's self-explanatory. I do not need to explain it any further. That is the definition of sleep training. Starting sleep training must be for a baby who is ready and for a mother who is ready to do so. If you aren't ready to do that, do not start it, because it could frustrate you, especially if you haven't come to terms with the fact that you need to sleep train. If you're still happy to continue with whatever routine you are on, do not bother to sleep train or even start the process. This is because consistency is the key. You need to follow it through. Whatever you start, you need to follow it through to the end. That is the only way the process will be successful for you. Sleep training isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing or approach, whereby what works for this person would work for you and would work for the person number C. That's not what sleep training is about. Sleep training is about finding what best works for you, your household, your little one, and every other thing you want to consider about before starting the sleep training. Ultimately, the goal is to get your baby to sleep on their own without you being there, patting them, petting them, tickling them, or doing all sorts. The approach is just for you to be able to put them down and they go to sleep on their own without you continually being there, and also making them to sleep longer hours for several hours. Those are the benefits of sleep training. Experts have made us to understand that sleep training is more appropriate when your baby have turned 6 months and above. Some people said 4 months and above, but like I said, you do what is best for you. When my baby was 4 months, I couldn't see how I would sleep train her at 4 months. So experts said 4 to 6 months, but I'm saying 6 months. Or when your baby starts to sleep longer hours through the night without needing a feed. New babies, you keep feeding them like every 2 hours. So when you come out from that phase, that is when you'll be thinking about sleep training, because you're not going to leave a hungry baby all night in the name of sleep training. No. So start your sleep training anytime from 4 months upwards, but I do 6 months and above. Before you start sleep training, please make sure that your baby is generally well and healthy, and make sure they are not teething, or they are not hungry, or their nappy doesn't need changing, or any of those circumstances that would require you to actually give that baby an attention. And make sure that your baby is of the appropriate weight. You should know, the health visitor will tell you what your baby should be weighing at every given time. So make sure that your baby is at that weight before you start sleep training. There are a couple of methods of sleep training. Yes, there are loads of them. I'm sure you would already may have known this. There are different types of sleep training method. But what I'm going to say to you is, before you start using a sleep training method, just think about what time of the day is it? Is it for afternoon naps or is it for night sleep? Also consider how old your baby is. because like you would find out in this video, my toddler has a different way of being sleep trained from my baby. So make sure that you put into consideration the baby's age when putting a method forward for yourself. My own, it may not be what you know it has to be called, but I call it what I understand. So number one method is the pick up and put down method. So in this pick up and put down method is where there is a no cry from the baby. Once you put the baby down, make sure they are fed and everything, you put them down and leave them alone and walk away, and they are not crying, they are just there on their own. Once the baby cries, you come back, pick them up, comfort them. Do not give them pacifier. Example, if you do not want them to always fall asleep using a pacifier. So in this method, if the baby cries, you walk back into the room, pick the baby up and comfort them. Once they calm down and stop crying, you put them back down and you walk away again. This is a gentle approach, especially if your baby finds it hard to kind of like settle down on their own. It's not like they are crying, but they just find it hard to settle. You can use this on your toddler and you can use this on your little baby as well. Also, you can use this routine in the night. So when you pick the baby up, you should be thinking about reassuring words that you'll be using. Example, shh, shh. Like I've said in my previous video, the baby shusha works very well for me and my baby. So when I go shh, shh, that is soothing to her. That calms her down. However, when I am trying to make my toddler to calm down, and I say, it's okay, I'm here, what's the matter, I'm here, calm down, it's all right, they calm down. So the technique, I'm not going to tell my toddler, shh. I mean, you may do if you want, but she'll take it, she wouldn't understand it more than when I say, it's okay, I'm still here, I'm here, you know, and then pat her back or something and put her down, that sort of thing. That is method number one. You would find out that by the time you do it 2 or 3 times, the baby will calm down, the baby will fall asleep by the time you return back into the room, if you've left the room. The second method that I'll be talking to you about is the chair method. I call it the chair method only because I sit on this chair here. And this method I use on my toddler a lot. And I think actually I learned it from one of her nannies. She just puts her to bed after the usual routine, after having a bath, brushing her teeth, all of that, reading the Bible with her, all of that. After they've done the routine as usual, then she puts her down, pulls the cover over her, and then sits here, just by the foot of the bed without saying a word. Sometimes she sits there and she's reading something. She might be reading a book or looking at a magazine, and then the child lays down on their own without saying a word. Do not make an eye contact, just ignore her. You have said goodnight, you have given her the kisses and everything. Just do your thing, sit aside and be reading your book. That I found works really well with my little girl, my toddler. Up till now, she kind of like, anytime she wakes up in the middle of the night, I repeat the process with her. I sit back down here and I tell her good night, love you, all of those things, kisses, and I just sit down, not saying a word. Some people would argue that this is so long, it's so lengthy, but actually, within 2 weeks, this process works. It could be a slow burner process, but it works. And what we did for my toddler is we started by sitting here, and before you know it, this chair moves to there. After one night, the nanny didn't sit here anymore. She moves to the edge of the room. Gradually, the aim is to gradually exit and leave the room. So the first 2 days she was sitting there. Then the next day she took this stool and was sitting just at a different position away from the bed. After she's done the good night and the routines and everything, she's sitting away from the bed. And the next night She did not sit. She stood by the door and said all the good nights after doing her routine, and then stood there, told her good night, stood there for a few minutes, and she fell asleep. Off she went. I know you will be like, oh, what if the baby wakes up? What if she wakes up? You just move back from where your new position is to your previous position. If she kept waking up when you were still sitting by the foot of the bed, do not worry, just return to sitting by the foot of the bed for that night. Then the next night, try to move to a step away. Stepping away means going out of the room. That is the aim. And if after 2 days she's still not getting it, or the baby is still not getting it, keep moving back in until they understand that you are not going to speak to them, you're not going to talk to them, you're just sitting there doing your own thing, and at the end of the day, they will get it. The number 3 method that I have used, I use this one a lot for my newborn, and she's no longer a newborn, but for my baby number 2, and that is the one that works for me with her, is the controlled cry. I call it controlled crying, or you can call it the ferbermethod. It depends on what you feel comfortable calling it. This method is simply whereby you do the baby's routine, do everything you have to do, kisses, prayers, everything, and then put the baby to sleep. Remember, this is for a little baby I'm talking about now. I put her down, and typically she will cry because she will look around and I'm not in the room. Then she bursts out crying. That's fine. Do not worry that your baby is crying. Crying never kills a baby. A baby can actually, well, research says that a baby can cry for up to 30 to 1 hour without causing any harm on that baby. But here, we're not letting the baby cry for 30 minutes. Right, so leave the baby to cry for at least 2 to 3 minutes before you walk back into the room. Do not walk back into the room straight. If it means having your wristwatch to time yourself, have your wristwatch to time yourself. But let the baby have a tiny cry of about 2 to 3 minutes. Then you walk back into the room and you pick up the baby. You tap, 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 kind of like soothing and comforting. Do not say a word, just tap. However you suit your baby normally, do that routine, and then put them down and leave the room again for the second time. This time around, you're going to be gone for 5 minutes. When I say gone, please do not go, like leave the room totally or leave the vicinity. You're just gonna hang around, maybe do something else. It could be tidying up something, a quick tidy up for 5 minutes, let the baby cry, and then return. And when you walk back into the room, soothe them, reassure them with words, with actions, however you do it normally, and then leave the room again. This time around, you're gonna leave for 10 minutes. Yes, 10 minutes. I know it feels like a big jump, but trust me, this is the quickest method of getting your baby sleep trained. This is the fastest method, I would say, because I have used it on my little new baby and it works for her. By the time I come back the second time, she's tired from crying, she's tired from day's activity, and all what she wants is to close her eyes and sleep. And sometimes before I come back the second time, she slept. You need to persevere. You need to see it through. If it's not worked the first 3 days, do not think, oh, Prisca's told me wrong. No, I've not. Just know that it would work. With consistency, it would work. If your baby hasn't still got it, day 3, put the baby down. First walking away 10 minutes or 7 minutes. But please do not walk away for a total amount of 15 minutes in one go. Don't do that. If you want to keep walking away and returning every 5 minutes, do so, but do not be gone for a total of 15 minutes at one go. Don't do that because that's too long. So you could start again with 5 minutes, put her down, go away, let her cry, 5 minutes, you return back, go again the second time, put her down, let her cry, 10 minutes, you return, but do not be gone for more than 15 minutes at a time. Please note that this method, I call controlled crying, is not a typical cry it out method, because I think there's a method that I have read on books that is cry out method, CIO, yeah, cry it out method. This is not a complete cry out method. Cry out method is whereby you put the baby and that is it. You're not returning back into that room. That is not the case, and it's not a classical ferbermethod either. So please do not think, oh, okay, she's describing the ferbermethod. No, that is not what I'm describing. Neither am I describing the cry out method. It is called controlled crying because you have to keep going in, and keep going in. I do know that some parents are not very comfortable with watching their babies cry, but like I said, it causes no harm, and crying for 2-3 minutes will not do no harm to your little one. Also, consider other methods first, and if they fail, before you come to the controlled crying. But remember, we all cry as human beings, babies, adults, elderly, we all cry, and you know, it doesn't mean it's not like a bad thing to cry. So maybe you should try with other non-cry methods first, like the pick up and put down method, like the chair method, before you actually go into the controlled crying method. So if those two methods do not work, then you can go into the controlled crying method. The fourth one which I use is called, well, I call it the be right back method, or the kisses method, shower of kisses. Yes. You can call it anything, but I'll tell you why I call it be right back method or showers of kisses. In this method, I use it for my toddler a lot. And when do I use this? In the afternoon, during the afternoon naps. Sometimes she's not tired, she doesn't want to have that nap, and I want her to have some nap because maybe we're going to stay out late or something, but for some reason I want her to definitely have the nap. So what I do here is I put her in bed and I give her kisses. They love kisses. Even my little baby, she loves it more than the toddler. Yes, they love kisses. I give her lots of kisses, and I tell her that she should lie down here, that I'm coming back. Then I go away. I don't go nowhere actually. I just shut the door and I stand by the door. And after like 3-4 minutes, I'm back in and I come back to her because she's still awake. If she's fallen asleep, I let it go. I move her away. But if she's still awake, I go back in, I throw some kisses at her, I give her kisses, cuddles, and I tell her to hold on, I'm coming back. I could say, let me see who's at the door, or let me get the clothes in, I'm coming back. Then off I go again. With this method, when you tell them you're coming back, make sure you come back. Do not tell her you're coming back and you don't ever come back. So, like I said, sometimes I just stand by the door waiting, because I know that with my toddler, you tell her you're coming back, and after 5 minutes you're not back, she will make the bed up for you. She will pull the bed like how it was before she laid on it, and off she goes. So with that, whenever I say that, I make sure that I go back in immediately. I just stand by the door. Yes, and we do this, and she must remain there because she knows that I'm coming back. Even with my new baby, she has started getting it. When I'm getting ready for us to go to bed, I'm bringing stuff upstairs, food, hot water flask, feeding bottles, milk. I'll keep coming in and out. She doesn't cry because she knows I'm coming back. She knows that I've gone to, in her mind, maybe she believes I've gone to collect something, but sometimes it's not so. I even use that method on her as well. Before I finish bringing stuffs in, she has fallen asleep. Yes, that not just for toddlers or not just for afternoon naps, it also works for night sleep and for babies as well. But my baby is now like 6-7 months, so she understands it and she loves kisses. So whenever I come back, I give her kisses and I'm gonna be like, I'm coming baby, I'm coming, let me get some more things. And she'll just be there on her own, sometimes folding her hands, waiting for me to come back. I know by now you'll be saying, oh, but Prisca, what if she comes out? yes, like I said to you, my little girl will come out. If I don't ever come back, she will come out. If she comes out, or she has fallen asleep and then she suddenly realizes that, oh no, I shouldn't be sleeping. She said she's coming. She has fallen asleep. We thought we'd done with the process, and suddenly off she comes. Do not worry. Do not panic. Do not get angry. Just be like poker face. Don't show her that you're angry. Don't show your baby. I keep saying her, by the way, because I have two lovely girls. So when you hear her, just know I mean him, her, them. Yeah. Just have that poker face. Do not be angry. Do not say a word to her. Just say, come back to bed. Go back to bed. Something like that. Do not do any more than that. Do not show that you're upset or you are not happy that she's awake. All such sort of things. And go back to the same process of saying, come on, baby. Off you go back to bed. I'm coming back with some more kisses. Let me just get stuff from downstairs. I'm coming with more kisses. Or let me get stuff from the kitchen. I'm coming back with more kisses. Something like that, and put her back in bed, and indeed go back as you promised. This method, like I said, it's really worked for me. It really has worked for me, yeah, especially for naps. I also now use it for nights, and it's been working for me. But once your toddler sees that you're upset that she's awake, she's gonna keep doing it to wind you up, or for whatever reason, or catch her cruise, whatever. But do not give her that expression or impression that you're angry and stuff like that. The fifth method I have is the straight back to bed method. Yes, this straight back to bed method it's similar to what I've said before. If your baby has fallen asleep, just take them straight back to bed. Don't give eye contact, just take them back to bed. Don't engage them, just take them straight back to bed. That I do, and I have found that it works. Sometimes my husband gets really agitated and goes like, oh no, you have to go to sleep now, you have to, and then she starts to go and then throw tantrums and throw herself on the floor, all those things. Don't give her that reaction that she wants to get off you. Just put her straight back to bed. This is a bit difficult because, trust me, they could still be coming out. They could try your patience and be coming out, in, out, in, out. Do not give up. Just remain consistent. Do not give up. And if that happens, you could switch. The method you're using from going straight back to bed to maybe doing the chair method of sitting next to her, or the kisses method, or any other or even the crying control method, any other method you want to use. If you try one particular method and it's not working and you feel that, no, I think I need to change my method, feel free to change your method anytime. You can combine two different methods at the same time. It's not rocket science. Sixth and the final method is what I call the bedtime fading method. This bedtime fading method is simply where you look out for cues to tell you that your little one is tired and needs to go to sleep. Example, eye rubbing, or yawning, or some sort of behavior that, this is my toddler. Once she starts to feel sleepy, she will start to do things that she wouldn't do ordinarily. She could start poking her little sister's nose, or poking her own eyes, or odd behavior. She will start exhibiting those odd behavior, or she will start to cry unnecessarily without you knowing the reason why she's crying. Those are the cues to me that she's tired, she needs to go to bed. And I utilize that a lot. Also, this method, you can use it from babies as little as 6 months and up. Similarly, I use it on my 6-month-old baby. Once I see her getting tired, itching her ears, scratching her hair, and all those, I know she's tired, and I quicken up. I put the routine, the bedtime routine forward, and then put her down for sleep. And if that happened around 7 p.m. yesterday night, or 8 p.m. yesterday night, once it's about 7:45 p.m. the next night, I will start the bedtime routine. So I have kind of like realized or believed that this time is the time that she now wants her bedtime to be, if you see what I mean, without me modeling things up. Yeah, so if your usual bedtime routine starts 8 o'clock, bring it half an hour earlier so that you can finish the bedtime routine and put them down before they actually fall asleep in your hands. Remember, the aim here is to sleep train your child to be able to fall asleep on their own. You are not sleep training if you're holding them and they fall asleep on you. That's not sleep training method. So here are my sleeping training methods finished, done and dusted. I'm gonna give you some tips also. This is just an additional. I'm gonna give you some tips that you could consider no matter the sleeping training method that you wish to use. And before I go into that one, please can you subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. If you have done that, thank you very much for coming back. And here are the tips that you could, or the approach that you could use irrespective of what sleep training method that you're using. Number one, establish a bedtime routine. If you do not have a bedtime routine, it's about time to put one in place. Start it 20 to 30 minutes before you actually put your baby down to sleep, be it having a wash or whatever it is you do before you put them to bed, praying with them, reading to them, whatever it is you do with them. Make sure you have that routine in place so that once that routine starts, they already now know that it's time to go to bed, kind of thing. That's number one tip. Number two approach, know actually your baby cues, the signs to show you that they are tired and they are falling asleep. It could be crankiness, it could be, I've given you lots of different ones that my little ones do. So look out for that in your little babies or your toddler or whoever you want to sleep train. And once you start to see that, make sure you start the routine and they are actually on their crib before they fall asleep, not on your hands. Number three approach is delay your return to your going into your baby's room when they have fallen asleep and have slept. Sometimes, I tell you, sometimes my little girls, they just go, have a little cry. It's not a real cry. Maybe they're having a nightmare, or maybe, I don't know, but just that cry that isn't really a cry. Before now, once I hear, I'm in there. And once they see me, it derails them from the sleep that they could have gone back to, and you know, they'll start concentrating on me. So when you hear your baby cry or wince, do not just rush back in to attend to them. Leave them and know actually if they are actually wanting to cry, or that maybe they had a nightmare, or maybe they just are crying in their sleep. It's not actually a real cry. Yeah, so delay such responses. Don't rush into the room at every tiny cry. The last one is to be consistent. Be consistent. As long as parents remain consistent, their little child would adopt that whatever method that they use beautifully well, and they will sleep very well. And with that, you won't be one tired mom or one tired parent or one tired caregiver or carer every day. Once your baby gets the drift or the crack of what you're doing, you will benefit from it. Both yourself and the baby, you would enjoy it. You need to also be committed to it. Consistency and commitment go hand in hand. Why I say this is because I remember when we once started sleep training, 2 days after, we did 2 days, or on the third day or the fourth day, we went out. And we were out for so long. I was signaling my husband to come, let's go. And I wanted us to go because of the sleep training. So if you're sleep training, maybe you should consider not staying out late. Keep doing it at that particular time so that it will master them and it will master you as well. Even if you're going to have one night out, just make sure it's not more than 2 nights, because they will forget what you've done for the past few nights and you have to start all over again. In summary, I would say that the controlled crying works a lot better for some babies, especially because it's the quickest means, it's the quickest way for toddlers to sleep or for babies to sleep, whoever you're sleep training. But again, what I may call best may not be best for other people, and what's best for my baby number 1 is different from what's best for my baby number 2. So make sure that you look out for the method that your baby prefers and the one that you prefer and are comfortable to use, and use that. I hope you have enjoyed this video and you're gonna go away to try sleep training your little one. Tell me which sleep training method that you will be using or you have used. Maybe I've not mentioned it, but remember I have mentioned the ones that I used, the combination that I used and have worked for me. Tell me the one you think you're leaning more towards, or the one that you have used that you found that works for you, and with that I can actually know which one works best for more people. But thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for coming back. I shall see you again in my next video. Cheerio!